you to another monthly webinar here for the NCSG, the National Chimney Sweep Guild. We present this every month as a service to the membership of the Guild, and we hope this helps you in your business and to get towards those business dreams. Now today, I've got a really special one for you. I'm going to suggest you get out a pad and a pencil, a pen, write down each of these. You may want to review this particular webinar with your management team and in fact with your entire team members, because what I'm going to talk about today is what I see as the 12 points of success for a chimney service company. That's right, the 12 points. Now, there are a lot of details that go into making these 12 points. You better believe it. That's going to roll down to your training, your processes, your systems, your marketing, and everything else. But again, these are the 12 points. Point number one, we market to people to have us service their chimney, their venting systems, their appliances. The marketing must be designed to reach the potential customer who matches our model customer. Because if you really drill down on your market area, you'll find that you will probably never service over 1% of the market that you have. Make sure your market is designed and it's broadcast where the customer sees it and understands how you can provide them the answers and the solutions they're looking for. You've got to realize every chimney and venting system in America likely has problems. The problems could be performance, it could be safety related, it could be workmanship, it could be water entry. The list goes on. Point number two, your phone must be answered in such a way that the customer has confidence in us and our ability to provide the service they're looking for. That's point number two. Point number three, our technicians must be able to find the issues in the customer's venting system, in their chimney with their appliances, and have the right communication skills to communicate this effectively and in a way that the customer buys them and the company. The sales process is the first one. You've got to sell themselves. Secondly, the customer has got to be sold on the company. And lastly, they've got to be sold on the product. If you reverse this, you're going to find failure. This is the key of sales success. Number four, you have to understand your sales are derived from the level of service you provide your customers. All too often, we move to sales presentations when we should be concentrating on the service we provide as the basis for all sales. Point number five, often we forget that our customers hired us expecting to spend just a couple $100. And now they're facing a cost of thousands of dollars to have what they thought they had before your arrival at their home. Think about that. Put yourself in their shoes. Point number six, listening skills. We all must learn to listen to understand our customer. We have to understand the pain that they feel and the desires that they have. And our solutions have got to address that. Number seven, any repairs must be quoted at the home. Unless there's issue, the tech does not understand how to quote. And if this is the case, we have a lack of training and our systems in our business. Point number eight, if the sale is not made, then there must be a dedicated drip follow-up with a minimum of 7 follow-ups in the sales follow-up process. And so often, this is where the ball is dropped. Number 9, once a sale is made, we must have effective ordering and where the flow is proper and there are no fumbles. It meets the company's needs and the customer's needs. We always should endeavor to never disappoint a customer due to a product or our service crews not being available in a timely manner. In other words, you have to do like Larry Winget says. You got to do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. The work must be done in a way that we build an enthused customer. And what's an enthused customer? This is a customer that tells others how good we did. This is how we get reviews, how we get testimonials. We have to work hard to get these. They must be first earned, and then we have to ask for them, often more than once. Number 11, all work must be done in a profitable manner. This means that we cover all our cost of doing business and the company received profit. It's a really important part of business to get a profit. And very simply, as Eleanor has often said, you have to charge more than it costs. If you don't do this, you don't have a business, you have a job, and you have a charity. And the last one, I hope it doesn't strike you wrong, but this is based on interviews with so many customer service representatives and listening to people like Lisa Ford, an expert in this area. You've got to understand, you may be certified, but you have to understand this is going to be more valued by you than it will be by your customer. Your customers are going to be more enthused over your reviews and your testimonials. And this is often where they're going to make the decision to actually engage you. In discussion with marketing experts, even though they may find you on a certification website listing, likely this is just going to drive them to check your market standing for customer satisfaction before they contact you. You have to realize today your customer is more educated than they've ever been in our lifetime, and they have access to more information about you than they have ever had in the past. And today, it's not word of mouth. It's what is your image? What is your reputation? And it is so easy to find this in the year 2020. Now, that was 12 very important points. Does it take a lot of small pieces to assemble this? You better believe it. Your education and your training has got to be top level if you're going to service your customer in the way you promise and your company promise. You're promoting yourself in certain ways. Are you delivering on your customer promise? Your processes, your procedures. Here's a question for you as a business owner. How much stuff is in your head that is not down into a process or a system? You see, if you've ever been a student of the E-Myth or written or read books published by Mr. Gerber, he'll often tell you in there that you have to step back and you got to spend time working on the business, not just in the business. It's an overwhelming task. It truly can be overwhelming. And what we have to do is we have to track, we have to measure. And are we going to fail at times? Yes. But we've got to know that we failed. This is where the tracking and the measuring comes in. We've got to know the averages. We've got to know the percentage of people that call us for service that are converted into a customer. We've got to know what marketing that we're doing that's delivering and giving us a return. We've got to ensure that what we're doing, if we're going to be successful, is what the customer of today wants. Lastly, remember this. Successful businesses are continuously reinventing themselves. If Sears Roebuck had reinvented itself, it would be Amazon of today instead of a giant at one time that is now withering away and fading in the sunset. And that's just one of the examples of companies that didn't reinvent. If you look at it in today's world, if the railroads had reinvented and understood they were in the transportation business, they would own air travel today. When you look at this, how do you do this? You look for the potential. You take an example like the Southern Pacific Railroad, which in the 19th century determined that they had to reinvent themselves. And what they did, they realized that they had miles and miles of telegraph cable strung across the United States right beside their tracks that they owned. So what did they do from this? They partnered with a telephone company in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas. I'm unsure about the state, apologize. But what they did was they formed a telecommunications giant that's still in business today. It's been rebranded several times. Perhaps you've heard of the telecommunications company called Sprint. Well, that was formed by the Southern Pacific Railroad in the 19th century because they determined that they had to reinvent. And there's so many cases of lack of reinvention on the part of business owners who don't take hard looks at the business. They sit back, they take it as it comes. Progressive companies do SWOTs on an annual basis. And what are you doing in the SWOT? You're examining what are the strengths that you have? What are the weaknesses that you have? What are the opportunities that are out there for you? And what are the threats to your existence? Do you understand that strengths and weaknesses, those are internal? Opportunities and threats, those are external issues. And we have threats around us continuously to the way that we do business. That's why we have to be an ongoing, example of reinvention and reinventing our businesses and our business models is vastly important. We have to look at what we're good at. We have to look at what we're not so good at. We have to work on our weaknesses. We have to be aware of the threats. But in 2020, we've actually added an F to a SWOT process, and that's called fears. Because the year 2020 has been a year of chaos and fear to so many of us. Probably no time in our lives have we ever seen our lives turned upside down like this. This has been even more than the chaos and the really bad events of 9/11, which changed our world, changed the way we work, changed the way we operate, changed the way we travel. But today, as we look back on the last 6 months, look at how this world has changed. Look how customer fear has come into play. Look how concern over health, sanitation, all these things have stepped to the forefront. So likely you have reinvented yourself somewhat this year. You have to continue this process. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me today for this monthly webinar here on the National Chimney Sweep Guild monthly webinar outreach to you. My name's Jerry Eisenhower. I look forward to you living your business dreams and they becoming your business realities.